Howdy, listeners. As we all know, planet Earth has 7.5 billion people, and 7.4 billion of those people have small businesses. Now, to be fair, numbers that size can be hard to envision, and to be even fairer, most of what I just said is entirely made up. But I'll tell you what isn't made up. Keap. Keap is the all-in-one client management software designed specifically for small businesses. Keap takes the most annoying and laborious parts of running a small business and metaphorically tosses them into the sun. Stop grinding yourself to death with busy work and repetitive tasks. Let Keap integrate your customer follow-ups, messaging automation, next-level appointment setting, and so much more. Head over to Keap.com and start your free trial of Keap Grow, Keap Pro, or for those looking for something beefier, talk to one of our coaches about Infusionsoft, the product that started it all. More business, less work, that's Keap. Just go to Keap.com to start your free trial. That's Keap.com. One more time, that's Keap.com.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Small Biz Buzz. I'm Scott Martineau.
I'm Crystal Heuft.
And today we are super excited to have Susan Baier on our podcast.
She is the owner and founder of Audience Audit. She's also a recent podcaster with the podcast Fun with Research, which I think is fun. But she did say she grabbed the URL for $8, which means that some people, as she was saying, might not. But if you're a nerd like me, you're going to want to have fun with research. And it's all kinds of topics that come directly from her clients, questions that they want answered. So I'm really excited about it, and you guys should check that out. So hello, Susan.
Hello, Crystal. Thank you for having me. Hi, Scott.
Hello, Susan. It's fantastic to have you. I am really excited about this topic because I think, most of our listeners are busy entrepreneurs and business owners who there's so many things to do, and it's so easy for even some of the most valuable things that they could be doing to help their business grow to fall by the wayside and not get done.
Totally. So
I'm excited to help maybe elevate the importance of research in the minds of our listeners and give them some practical ideas for what they can do if, they don't have a massive research team, for example.
Totally.
Right?
And how to use that research to really nail their target audience. So I'm really excited about it. I was telling you, I did some research before you came in. And
no pun intended.
Exactly. But I was doing research about you and what things you're really passionate about. And I was so baffled by something I read and excited all at the same time. So I'm excited to also dive into attitudinal audience segmentation, which I had never heard, but it's basically what I'm always trying to find. It's stuff that we were just talking about earlier. So it's
a weird little corner of research.
Yes. So we're all going to learn together today and hopefully pass along all of this knowledge to all the small businesses listening.
Awesome.
So I want to dive in. Tell us a little bit more about your journey as a business owner, kind of how you got started, and maybe a little bit about why you've chose the audience you have for yourself.
For sure. So I've been a marketing strategist for over 30 years, both in agencies as well as in big corporate environments. I started my own business. The first one was just a marketing consultancy. I'd had my youngest kid, and I just was not happy with corporate anymore. I just was really burnt out. So I had two little kids at home, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a marketing consultant. I did that for about 4 years, and then my friend Jay Baier called me up and said, hey, do you want me to help me run this agency? Actually, what he said was, do you want a real job? And I was like, not really, but since it's you. And then went back to the agency world. And then the recession hit in 2009. I lost my job, and I was like, okay, never working for anyone else ever again, and started Audience Audit that year. So, when you talk about the small business owners that I know you all serve and who may be listening, I am with you. I am totally with you. My company has 2 people in it. So we're really small, and I love working with small business owners. A lot of our research is for bigger clients because research is an expenditure that it can be kind of hard to do.
Right.
But I work a lot with small business owners on this idea of attitudinal segmentation and identifying an audience in a way that actually works for a small business instead of the way we were all taught to do it, which I find completely unhelpful and frustrating.
Agreed.
Oh, we should make fun of that first. Can we start there?
I have an attitude about attitudinal.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Just
there
kidding.
We go.
I have attitudes about everything.
And I think just to kind of set this up too, so we hired Susan. So the first time Susan and I met was actually part of a research. I think it was the first time we met.
Yeah, 2013 was our first study for you all.
And you know, we were in a dire need of being able to be more clear about who our audience was. And I remember that season was super exciting, just super great insights. And so I'm excited to dig in today, but want everybody to know that's where our relationship started.
For sure.
We've actually hired Susan to help us in our company. It was named Infusionsoft at the time,
Right.
not Keap today, but super excited. So why don't we dig in? What are the kind of typical pieces of advice that you see people giving about how to segment and look at your target audience, and how can we make fun of them?
So yes, exactly. So if you're a small business owner and you are looking for advice about marketing strategy, content strategy, social media strategy, any of those kinds of things, and you do a little Google search, you're going to come across a whole bunch of articles that say, okay, in order to do this well, you have to resonate with an audience. You have to provide stuff that's relevant. So here's how you do it. Step 1, define your perfect audience. Perfect. Have that? Great. Let's go to step 2. And most of us are like, what? How am I supposed to do that?
I'm like, that's a huge chunk.
That is a huge thing. How am I supposed to do that?
Everyone else is laughing too, because how do you get to even that one?
How do you do that? So if you're not a marketer, you just may have absolutely no idea what they're talking about or how to do that. If you are a marketer, you've probably been trained to think about demographics, age, income, like let's decide who your person is, right? Or your ideal people. And many of us have had that experience where you're trying to make those decisions and you're looking at the age ranges and you're looking at the genders and you're looking at incomes and you're going, it could be any of these people.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be any of these people. And it's because we've all been trained to do it in a way that I personally believe is wrong. Your audience is not based on what they look like. Your audience is based on the problems you are solving and who has them and why they haven't solved them already.
Totally.
And that is attitudinal segmentation. So in our research, what we're doing is looking at populations, customers, prospects, whatever it may be, B2B, B2C, and saying, okay, well, we can look at company size for these people, or we can look at their age or their gender, but instead let's look at the kinds of attitudes they have about this category, the kinds of experiences they've had in the past, the things that are important to them and the things that aren't, and let's group people that way. So, Scott, when we did the research back in 2013 for what was then Infusionsoft about small business owners, I think one of the reasons that resonated so much with your customers and prospects and stuff like that was that they could see themselves in these different types of owners. Some owners who just had an incredible passion for something they wanted to get out in the world that would help people. And that was what was driving them more than anything else. We saw people who were like, I just don't want to have to answer to anybody ever again. I want more freedom in my life, and I have to figure out something I can sell profitably so that I can do that.
Yes.
And we had people who were like, I'm building something to hand down to my kids. Like the future financial security of my family is why I'm doing this and why I'm making the choices that I'm making. And then we saw people who, for whatever reason they started, were not experiencing the benefits of small business ownership. So everybody's around there having parties and saying, yeah, entrepreneurship is the best thing ever. And they're like, this sucks. I'm really struggling and I'm still going. I'm not giving up, but geez, this is just not what everybody says it is.
Right.
And, when we had that research out, and you all had banners, do you remember your conference that year? And I have pictures of people taking pictures of themselves.
By their banner.
Right. And having these conversations. And that is so much more powerful in understanding how to resonate with people and how to reach them and how to help them with resources, products, services, content than, sending out emails that say, hello, woman 25 to 49. It's just not like, right?
Agreed.
So, even if you're not doing the kind of research that we are doing, right? As a small business owner, we should all be thinking about who are our ideal audiences. And I will rant about why that is incredibly important in a minute.
Perfect.
But we need to be thinking about them not based on what they look like. We need to thinking about them based on what they care about and what's important to them. So if you are running a Mexican restaurant, a local Mexican restaurant, you may have people who are like, I just need really good Mexican food.
I just need a taco today.
I just
Taco
really
Tuesdays every
have
day.
to have Mexican food. But you may also have people, and they may not be the same people, who are like, I need something that's in downtown Chandler. So there's the Mexican place, there's the Thai place, I could go to the steak place. Where can I get out and get in quickly? Where's there decent parking? And where's the food going to be pretty good? You know? And you may have people who are like, I want to support local. So even if there's 3 Mexican restaurants within 5 miles of me, I'm going to go to this new little family-owned, untested one that I've never been to because I think it's really
versus the
Then
chain
there's me,
Right.
who wants all of those things.
Right, which is perfect.
I want tacos every day. I want something local. I want good parking because I hate parallel parking.
Right.
And what were the other ones? But I basically fit all of them.
But if you're the owner of that restaurant, the difference is you think about those audiences as you think about what your competition is. And how you need to be relevant to them, given the competitive set that they're including you in. If all you're talking about is Mexican restaurants, you're missing the boat on some of those folks. If all you right, so you don't have to choose just one audience, but you have to be super clear for the audiences that you choose. And choose is the operative word, right? The ones that you want to serve. The problems that you want to solve, you have to be crystal clear about why they're looking and what is involved in their choice and who they're putting you up against so that you can provide relevant marketing content, products, services, whatever it is.
I feel like I was talking to you earlier about why this is so important. It's definitely the way of the future for so many reasons. But the one that's personal to me as a social media manager is that I can't target on a lot of the demographics, and more as privacy keeps coming up on Facebook, the less of those I can even pick. So for me, it's like, I need to know, what are their interests?
Right.
What are their activities? What is this audience doing that I can target in a new, fresh way to get to a new audience? And these attitudinal audience segmentation, I think, help you get there in ways that normal target audience, and old practices aren't really getting you to.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, marketing, who is not the question you have to answer in marketing.
Right.
Why is the question you have to answer.
So smart.
And we just need to be thinking about those kinds of things. And I'll tell you, Crystal, even if you can target demographically, in a lot of cases, you shouldn't.
Yeah, because you're paying for all of these and you're not even sure this is really the right. Not all 29-year-old females are going to want Keap. Or whatever it is.
Well, you have problems on both sides.
Yeah.
So if you define your audience as women 25 to 49 who have a certain level of income, on the one hand, you're assuming that everybody in that box is going to care about what you're doing, and they're not.
Right.
Okay. On the other hand, there are a bunch of people outside of that box who would love you for what you do, but you have decided they are irrelevant.
Right.
That is reflected in your marketing, your content, and so they never see you, or if they do, they say, oh, that's not for me, because that's for women 25 to 49. So you can really mess yourself up on both fronts, who you include and who you exclude. And when I work with small business owners on audience, I make them define their audience without any demographics at all. No business, no company size, no income, no gender. Instead, it's like, I was talking to the gal downstairs this morning while I was waiting to come up. She's an artist. And I was so you need to think about targeting your audience along the lines of, I create art for people who don't see themselves reflected in art and appreciate art, but are not finding themselves in the art that they have access to. So do you need a demographic for that? Nope. Now, if she wants to only do art for women, she can choose that, but what I want that demographic to come in is at the end. Because if you put it at the beginning, All you do is check the box that says these ages, these genders. We all do this, right? If you Google a business plan, it's like 72 pages. It's completely overwhelming, and everybody knows they have to do one, and most of us don't. And if you do, it's just daunting. But checking off these boxes is like, whew, I got
Feels
that done.
nice.
I never have to look at it again. Those boxes on that form are not helping you. This will help you. And the other thing about it is it will change over time. So you all here at Infusionsoft/Keap have continued to morph your understanding of who you want to serve and their needs and how best to serve them over time. So audience is not a static definition that you do once. When I started Audience Audit, I was like, I'd lost my job. It was a recession. My husband was training as a helicopter pilot. I was like, I'm a marketing strategist. Here's all the stuff I could do. I was like, I figure I'll just sell anything I can sell, I'll sell. Well, okay. The problem is there's 400 marketing strategists in my zip code, right?
Right.
And a lot of the work I could do, I didn't really want to do. I didn't enjoy doing it. I didn't enjoy the kind of customers who wanted that. Like, it just wasn't my thing. So then we narrowed down to this particular type of research, which is really unique. And I was like, okay, I'll do this for anybody. Great. The next evolution of that was, I'm going to do this for agency marketers because they know what to do with it. And what I don't like is putting all this effort in and then having my clients who don't really understand how to use it just never use it. That's not rewarding for me. So I'm going to start working through marketing agencies because they get it. They understand. So over time, things get narrowed. Over time, the problems you're solving become more refined. And as part of that, what you're doing is eliminating the people that aren't right for you. And you don't have to be mean about it, but dude, niche, and keep going narrower and narrower.
So there's sort of this balance between where am I seeing what I'm delivering resonating in the market, right? That's one thing you're looking at. And also, where do I find that it's resonating with me in terms of the clients I'm working with?
Right. If you're a small business owner, like, if you own a restaurant with 80 locations across the country, maybe that's not as relevant to you. But for some people, it is. Wendy's is very specific about who they want to help and like their approach to things,
They're my
right?
spirit animal.
But
for
if
social, for social media,
Right.
they are my spirit animal.
But if you're a small business owner, you probably don't have the luxury of passing off work or customers to somebody else. So, you all know it ain't easy.
Yeah.
You sacrifice a lot when you decide to give up, the security of health insurance and all those other things. You're paying a lot for that liberty. Don't assume that you have to work with clients that you're not interested in working with. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. There's no such thing as a bad client, but there is absolutely a thing as a bad client for you.
For sure.
And that is based on those problems. Your niche, and I think small business owners don't hear this, and you so need to hear it. Your niche is not what you sell. Your niche is the problems you have chosen to solve.
I love that. On that note, we are going to throw to worst business ideas in history so I can run down and change all my audience targeting on my Facebook ads. And then we'll be right back to go into the second half of the show. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
Howdy, folks. I'm Derek Haryu,
And I'm Ducey Van Dusen,
and this is Worst Business Ideas in History.
the show where we look back at some of the most brutal missteps, failures, and flops in consumer history.
And make fun of it.
But also learn something.
Nope, it says in my contract I don't have to learn.
Fine. The rest of us will learn something, and you can just mock people's misfortune.
Sounds good.
Welcome to the worst business ideas in history.
So, just like we said in the intro, this is Derek Haryu,
And this is Ducey Van Dusen.
and we're recording remotely today. So a heads up, if you hear tiny voices in the background, that's possibly some of our various children running around. Most likely it's going to be my toddler because she doesn't understand what a podcast is.
Yes, my kids are old enough that I can just turn off their screen time and say, let the iPad be your parent for an hour.
Yeah, I'm not super proud of myself for how much screen time she's been getting lately, but I'm also trying to do a full-time job, so I was over it on the second day. I'm cool.
Yeah, right. Those I have the same feeling. Like those high and mighty thoughts disappeared very quickly when when push comes to shove.
Today we're going to be talking about one of the lesser fast food giants, Burger King, and that may be a bit of a slight, but let's be honest. Like Burger King is a bronze medalist.
Yeah, that's true. They're gargantuan.
They're
but
huge.
It's still third place sounds about right.
I'm not sure that Burger King is ever anybody's first choice. I think that Burger King is usually where people go if they're like, McDonald's is far.
That's funny. I'm not McDonald's is definitely not at the top of my list, but it is at the top of my kids' lists. So that always there's a little bit of tension there every time we decide where to go with fast food.
That is, just like we could talk about that another time, but just like the stranglehold McDonald's has on America has everything to do with its marketing to children and nothing to do with the quality of its food. But what we're going to talk about today is a product developed by Burger King, and I actually like Burger King. I have always preferred Burger King to McDonald's, actually. Even when I was a young kid. That's my daughter. My daughter, she's mad.
Hello.
She's mad at a piece of citrus right now. But I always liked the Whopper better than I liked the Big Mac. I always like if I had my choice, even as a kid, I was like, I want to go to Burger King. Like they have terrible toys, but the food is better.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Burger King Satis Fries today. Now,
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Can you say that again for me? The what?
I'm sorry. Did I breeze past that trademark too fast? The Burger King Satis Fries.
Satis fries. Like
Satis fries.
Satisfied, but fries. Okay.
Correct.
I'm
So,
already loving this. Okay. Well,
Burger
wait,
King-
wrong. I'm loving this. Wrong brand. Okay, sorry. Continue.
No. It's right. Yeah. So Burger King has come up with lots of forgettable products over the years. And one of them, and this apparently is 100% forgettable because I straight up do not remember this product, and it's not a very old product. This came out in 2013.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised I haven't heard of it. I figured this was something I missed when I was a kid or before my time.
No. Same here. When I started researching it, I was like, oh, Satisfied. This must be a product from the 80s or a weird anomaly from the 90s, maybe. And then I looked it up, and 2013. And then discontinued in 2014.
Okay, so what is it, first of all, and then take us through it.
The very first thing is that Satis Fries are technically potatoes. I had to search a little bit for this because I kept seeing that they're talking about these fries. They're like, oh, we've made these fries. They're healthier. They don't absorb as much oil. The actual components of them, like the potato itself, is lower calorie, but then it kept being referenced as batter. They weren't referring to it as potatoes. They kept calling it batter. And then when I looked it up, what I found out is what it is it's like a slurry of potato byproduct, which is a mean way to say it. It's a potato product, but calling it a byproduct is just more pejorative.
Exactly.
So it's a batter that they inject into these molds to make them fry shaped. And then they deep fry them, and they're supposed to absorb less oil and therefore have less fat and calories in them. So this was an attempt by Burger King. Burger King has always had this like low-key hatred of McDonald's fries. Like Burger King's has blamed McDonald's fries for every problem they've ever had. They're like, oh man, if we can just crack that code on making delicious French fries like McDonald's, everything will be solved. Well, they are also trying to they're like, well, we've tried before to make McDonald's style French fries and that failed. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to make diet fries. They'll still taste pretty good, but they'll be healthier, quote unquote healthier.
Yeah. That's what anything fried potatoes in any way, shape, or form. There are many ways to fry a potato, and none of them come across to me as healthy. But I mean, hey, if I could eat fries at like half the calories, I haven't had fries for some time. I'm trying to be good, losing a little bit of weight. I'd be in. I mean, that sounds good.
Yeah, totally. And like at the time, here's the thing. They weren't just competing with McDonald's. The idea of having a healthier French fry mostly actually came from them doing battle with new upstarts Chipotle and Panera, which were kind of eating their lunch at the time, like so to speak. They're just
nice one.
I'm super ashamed of myself for that. They're like, well, we'll make healthier French fries. The problem was that, first off, the fries were more expensive. A regular order of fries at Burger King was $1.50. These were $1.90. Not exactly breaking the bank, but also like you're asking consumers to pay more for a similar product. The second problem was Burger King completely missed the mark at the time as to what people thought was and was not healthy. At the time, people weren't watching. Think about this. It's 2013, 2014. CrossFit and P90X and all of that stuff are riding high at this point. And so there is this huge wave of high fat, high protein diets and just people just being like, get carbs as far away from me as humanly possible.
Right.
And at the end of the day, these things are still potatoes cooked in oil.
Yeah.
So people are like, yeah, you say they're healthier. I still don't want that product. I don't want that product at all. And so they originally were going to release it to all the Burger King locations, but they only got to 2,500 because these things just absolutely sat on the shelf. People weren't jazzed about, like, they didn't really like the taste of them. The people that were health conscious at the time were health conscious in the sense that all they wanted to eat was meat and high fat foods. So eating potatoes is still not going to roll for them. And at the end of the day, it was a product nobody asked for, which we've discussed before about the pitfalls of not asking anyone in your demographic whether they want the thing you're going to spend millions of dollars producing.
Kind of feels like, hey, we've got some potato slurry over here. What can we do with this? You know, it's something maybe we just tweak it up a little bit, we can start to sell this stuff. You know, what gets me, you mentioned Panera and Chipotle like riding high on during this time. That's totally true. And I'm really it's interesting how those have both kind of managed to have a that appearance of something really healthy. You know, people that are health conscious are going in there, but like Chipotle burritos, they I guess it depends on how you make them, but they can be very high calorie and not the healthiest. So I think a lot of it comes down to the perception and the way that you're speaking about what you're creating, right?
Yeah, because and you absolutely nailed it, because Chipotle, their real claim to fame is that they use fresh ingredients. Chipotle burritos are not healthy by most metrics of what health is considered. A Chipotle burrito is like if you just get a chicken burrito with beans, you don't get any guac, you don't get any sour cream, you maybe get cheese, you're still pushing 1,100 calories.
Oh man, yeah. So those when they say that it's all natural ingredients and locally sourced stuff, sometimes I think what they did very well there is that's, for many people, that's code for, oh, this is healthier. Hopefully it tastes better, and it's probably better for a lot of other social reasons, but doesn't actually mean that it's healthier for you. Like if
Chipotle is not diet
greasy
food.
beef is greasy beef, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just that it's not prepackaged. It's not it's not from it's not part of the food industrial complex. But yeah, so Satis Fries came and went, less than a year, never to be seen again. This one, it was a pretty in and out product. And the weird thing, this really highlights how much people either don't understand or don't care about health when it comes to ordering French fries. They got rid of Satis Fries because they were a huge failure. They're like, people just want to eat French fries. If they're already eating a French fry, is a food that if you want to eat a French fry, you want to eat a real French fry.
Right. If you're trying to satisfy that that craving of like, man, I need some fried potatoes in my life, then you're probably, even if you are health conscious, like that's your cheat day, like let's just dig into some amazing fries.
Yeah, and I'd like to lay out exactly how much people did not care about, like Burger King customers did not care about a healthier option. The Satis fries were immediately followed by 2 products that they put out that did succeed very, very well, and in most cases are still on Burger King menus, and that is the Bacon Sundae, which I think the existence of the Bacon Sundae is one of those things where you go, maybe we have too much freedom in this country. And the other is chicken fries. Chicken fries have been super successful for Burger King.
Yeah. They have, how many different variations of chicken nuggets do they have now, right? I think they've got tenders, they've got chicken fries, they've got chicken nuggets. And then I think they have like the 10 for $1 chicken nuggets that are like even cheaper chicken, some pieced together chicken nuggets of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah, they're lower tier chicken. You probably hear my daughter's composing music 5 feet from me, and there is nothing I can do about that. So I hope that you enjoy whatever she's playing. Yeah, the chicken fries followed the Satis fries. Satis fries was, hey, do you want a healthier French fry? Chicken fry was, hey, do you want fried chicken as a side dish?
Right, exactly. That's fantastic.
So what did we learn today?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is, if you go to Burger King, chances are that there's some of the items that you like there over McDonald's or wherever else you might be going. You probably like their fries if you're going to Burger King already. So that's a classic. It's part of their main offering. And, it's worth exploring what other options you can have, but understanding why the people who come to you. I feel like that's something that in this segment we're going to repeat over and over, is understanding your audience and what they think of you, why they come to you, why they're using your product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, if you really think about it, even when you want to go to Burger King, the fries are an afterthought. You get a Whopper, I don't even know what other products they have anymore, but I always felt like with Burger King, thank you, Max. I always felt like the fries are just, they come with the meal and you're kind of like, oh yeah, there are also fries here.
Here are some fries, right?
Yeah. So investigate who your audience actually is, because I feel like this was a huge, huge misstep in the realm of like not asking anyone the simple question of, do you want this?
And can you imagine a world where Satis fries stuck around for 10 years or longer and people are actually saying that word at a drive-through as they come up? And
that's an excellent point. I don't want to dive into this and drag this episode out forever, but yeah, Satis fries, I don't even want to say that word to somebody. It's like, remember Denny's had the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity?
Hey, you know what? It worked because we both remember that.
Yeah.
They leaned into it. They did ads saying, hey, this is funny to say. This is silly. Come be silly with us.
Yeah, that's fair. They did know. They knew exactly what people were saying. They're like, I do not want to order this product in front of a human being.
Hopefully that's been helpful.
So again, always ask the question, does anybody want your product? But yeah, mostly if you want French fries, just eat French fries, man. They're delicious and not good for you.
Yep, exactly. And just a little add on there, like if you're following a trend, make sure you understand the trend, right? Like that's really what it comes down to, is actually having authentic understanding of why people were making choices with other food like Chipotle and Panera.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Worst Business Ideas in History. I'm Derek Haryu.
This is Juicy Van Dusen.
And we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Keeping ever-expanding client info straight, sending the same emails hundreds of times, scheduling and rescheduling appointments over and over. Who enjoys this nonsense? No one, except my cousin Brent, and Brent is the absolute worst. Keap is the premier all-in-one CRM. Just head over to keap.com, that's Keap.com, and start your free trial today. Get the busy work out of the way so you can focus on what's important and make your small business grow with Keap. Start your free trial at Keap.com. That's Keap.com. More business, less work. That's Keap.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I think, Susan, you left everybody with a cliffhanger there. It's a phenomenal statement. I just want to reiterate it. Your niche is, say it again.
Your niche is not your product or your service. Your niche is the problems that you are choosing to solve with your business.
Totally.
So you could sell ice cream that's just like another guy selling ice cream, but you can have a completely different niche, even though the product is the same.
Yes.
Agreed. I think you taught these guys well then, because we're talking about pain points every day around here, and I love it because that's what we're trying to solve for.
Yeah, and I hope the listeners out there, the business owners, are thinking about that. You have to literally have a love affair with the problems that your prospective clients have. And obviously the Keap platform is something that helps you to speak to your clients about those pains in a way that helps them understand you get them, and that your solution is a solution to that specific problem. So absolutely love that. So I would like to talk a little bit about kind of some of the mechanics. So keeping in mind our listeners may not be, some of our listeners probably are at a point where they could hire someone like you to come in and actually do some of this research. Let's also maybe give some practical tips to those who may not be in that place. What are some maybe quick and dirty, maybe not perfect, but useful things that people could do to help go about, describing and discovering who this audience is?
Yeah, perfect. So I will introduce you to my favorite phrase in business, which is, yeah, we don't do that. Okay? That is, every business owner needs to be incredibly comfortable saying, yeah, we don't do that. And if you can't say it, it's because either you haven't decided what you don't want to be doing, or you're afraid to tell anybody, both of which are a problem. So
I remember when we started out, we would say, yeah, we'll do that. That was actually our phrase.
Sure. I did too.
And it was like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, we were in the middle of an identity crisis, but it was like, oh, you mean you'll actually pay us real money to pull the networking cables through the ceiling? Yeah, of course.
We do that. Right. Exactly.
Done.
Exactly. We've all been there. We all have to pay the rent, right? So understand that completely. But the first step for any small business owner should be really sitting down and saying, what do I want and what do I not want?
What do I not want?
Mm-hmm. So I am an example. I will never again wear pantyhose. I will never again wear
me
a
neither.
suit to
I
meet
said
with
no
a client.
a long time ago.
Yes, exactly right.
Crystal?
Oh, I will wear tights, which is like the pantyhose like cousin, but I don't think I'd wear pantyhose.
They're a distant cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they? I hope so,
they're
because I
pretty
love them.
distant.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
But,
so we're
I
good on that.
I spent a lot of time in that. And the reason this is so important is because, first of all, most of us never do this. We're just so like hellfire and bent on moving forward in our business that we haven't really thought about what is important to us. And things like how much you want to work, when you want to work, the kinds of environments you want to work in will dictate part of your ideal audience for you. So I'm a small business. We do research. I do not want to walk into a cubicle farm again, right? So when I think about my audience, I think, okay, agencies, these are my people, and I know that some other people aren't. So that first step, if you haven't done it, what do you want? What do you not want? Step 2, think about the problems that your product solves. And this sounds like a very sort of highfalutin concept. You don't have to be a software engineer. You don't have to have something complicated to think about this. You can sell ice cream. Okay. And still think about, okay, what am I solving? We have a great provider here in Chandler called Paletas Betty that makes these Mexican paletas, which are like,
oh my God, heaven.
They're like kind of a ice cream popsicle, but they've got amazing flavors
with a little
from Mexico.
bite out of the top corner.
So
They're
great,
so
right?
good.
So obviously you can buy a popsicle, you can buy an ice cream, or you can buy Paletas Betty. And they have thought very carefully about the problem they are solving. I want something cool. I want something different. I want something that reminds me of my childhood because I grew up with paletas or whatever, right? Like I want something from a local provider, right?
Yep.
A company that I like, whatever those things are. So no matter how simple your thing is, I want you to think about the problems you want to solve by offering it, right?
Right.
Step 3, who has those problems? And this is where we go, do demographics matter? It could be about geography. It could be about people who have X amount to spend. And a word of caution, small business owners, I could tell you from many, many research projects, household income does not correspond to spending on particular categories. You and I both know people who make the same amount of money, but one of them spends a lot more on shoes than the other one does.
Those have no kids.
Right? So it's about what your priority is, but don't assume that household income is driving things. We see people who make $200,000 a year who are using grocery coupons. And we see people who make under 50 who aren't. So,
and they spend their things on specific things.
Yep.
So it's like, I might spend more on travel, but I'm not spending as much on purses.
It's what
Some
matters
other
to you.
friend
It's what
might be
matters.
spending on purses and
right.
not on travel.
That's right.
And I remember going through our research together and sort of sitting back with a bit of skepticism. I wasn't the only one. And it was because we had all this attitudinal research and we were defining these
people under the
targets. And I
bus.
was saying, I don't buy, because, in our segmenting, we might say, well, somebody who has higher revenue is
Right.
more likely to do that.
Or a
what-
certain number of employees or has been in business for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Stage.
Yep,
right?
exactly. So, and I remember you showing us how across these attitudinal groupings, you have everything. It's just almost every time it's an even split. Now, not every time, but almost all the time it is.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's
That's true for
fascinating.
most of our studies. We always gather demographics to see if there are different things, and most times there aren't.
Love it.
I
Okay.
love that too.
All right. One, what do I
What do you want?
What do I want? What do I not want? What are my, we don't do that. 2, what are the problems? 3, who has those problems? And then find out, asterisk, if demographics actually matter.
That's
By the
right.
way, my wife, like in my wife's business, for example, she coaches moms. She helps moms learn how to not yell at their kids and help them listen and create a stronger connection. So in that case, demographics do matter
To her.
to her.
Because she's chosen to narrow her audience to a particular demographic because that's who she wants to work with.
Yes, but to your point earlier, it's if she started with that and just said, "Oh yeah, I work with moms," check. She's missing the underlying thing, which is what are the real problems and who is it that I want to solve? Obviously, you're going to have to target moms.
Right.
And demographics do matter, but there's a much more important depth to that. Great.
Yep. Yep. And then the
Okay.
next step is you just have to go for it. And I can't stress this strongly enough. Your website is not your resume. Okay?
Correct.
You should not have in your marketing, on your website or whatever, all of the stuff you could do. You need to only have the stuff you want to do. Only the problems you want to solve, only the services you want to offer. That does not mean that if somebody contacts you and says, "Hey, can you do this?" and you're like, "Oh, rent's due." Yes.
Right.
It doesn't mean you can't do that. But if you're trying to talk to everybody, what happens is that nobody that you really want will see you as being specifically for them,
Right.
which is an incredibly powerful thing when people come to your website or your social channels and go, "Where have you been all my life? Like, you are speaking my language. How do you understand me this well?" And the reason it's so important is because we should not be selling our stuff. We should be trying to resonate with the people who could benefit from our stuff. But a lot of times, those people don't know anything about our stuff or even our category. And if they did know, they might be like, "Oh, I'm sure that's not for me." So you can't shove a solution down people's throats. A better way is to meet them where they are, which is the problem. And then once they trust you because they're like, "Oh, you get me,"
Yeah.
then you can help them understand how what you do solves that problem.
So sometimes when I've talked to small business owners in the past, they have a fear of being so narrow with their audience.
Very common.
And I feel like you've tried a lot of things. So what have you seen come out of narrowing your audience that's helped you have a stronger business that's performing the way you need it to?
So every small business I know, including mine, has benefited tremendously from getting more narrow. But you can't just throw out there a narrow profile and not resonate that in all of your content, right? So if you're going to have a narrow niche, which you should, you need to be telling people that you understand these audience members, that you get them, and you need to be talking about it. You need to provide helpful content without trying to sell them anything, and all of these things to connect with them. It can be scary, but I will tell you, it is the best thing you can do for your business. Niche, niche, niche. And I will argue for you to continue to narrow the longer you're in your business and the more you learn.
we use the metaphor of a bullseye here as well, and getting really clear about the center of the bullseye.
You bet.
And even more and more clear. And then, there are always, as hard as you try to send that message out, you're going to attract people that are in those concentric rings.
Yep.
But yeah, fantastic advice.
And
so
you may get it wrong, and you can pivot at some point. Like, lots of folks have done that. That's okay. But you just need to keep thinking about it. And I would argue for narrowing and speaking your truth.
That's great.
So on this whole topic of go for it, is this a list of 4? Is this the 1 through 4?
What do you mean?
I just want to know if there's another 5.
No, I think that's,
all right, we're good.
Sure. We could talk pitch, we could talk all sorts of things, but yeah, that's a pretty good start.
Well, so
I was
get there, you're doing really well.
He takes notes.
So I do want, I'm a list guy, I guess. I don't know. So I want to understand, so you talked about on the website, so go for it is on the website, also then begin to, lean into the specific thing, the narrowed specific things that you're going to, that the problems are that you're going to speak to. So what else can you give in terms of advice for going for it? If let's say I feel pretty good. I've narrowed down, I've dropped the primary focus on demographics. I'm clear on the problems. I'm clear on which of those I want to solve. What does it actually look like? What might I do on my website or even in other aspects to start taking advantage of this clearer audience?
So I am a huge fan of websites that on the very home page have the problems. And,
I like that too.
And basically say, which one of these sound like you, right? If you go to the Audience Audit website, you'll see that for what I do. Pam is using that approach on her stuff. It really, again, runs counter to what we think. Like, let's cram all of our stuff on here and let's put and 99% of the sites out there are like, we sell this and here's the colors and here's our shipping policy and blah, 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 all of this kind of stuff. And what we're basically doing is throwing open the doors and saying, I don't know if I have what you need. Take a look and figure it out. We're putting the onus on some...
Which feels like a lot of work.
Yes. We're putting the onus on a visitor, right? So imagine you are a 6'3" woman who needs a ball gown, okay? And you go to a typical e-commerce site and you see all this stuff and it's on you to figure out whether there's even anything there that works for you. Mm-hmm. What if you went to a provider's site that said, are you too tall for the typical gowns?
I'm in.
Boom.
Yep.
So what? And you don't need much else on that page besides, here's our logo, here's how to reach us, right? So you have 3 buttons. Are you this person? Are you that person? Are you this person, right? They click on that and then they go to content that is all about that and only that. So the other problem we have with websites, other than making our prospects solve the problem we should be handling, is that we just dump a whole bunch of stuff on them that we have to talk about, whether it's relevant to them or not. And you all are experts in this space, but you know what happens. If it takes more than a few clicks to get to what you want, they're done.
Yeah.
They're out. So what you have to do is find out right away, are you this kind of a person? And if you are, get them to products, curated products, resources, blog posts, sizes, whatever
that address those problems.
That is right. And don't make them wade through the stuff you have to solve other problems. If they want to keep looking, they will.
Yeah.
But the faster you can get them to what will help them, the better. And the better you can explain why it will help them, the better. And so I'm a huge fan of just sending people to the information they want and not making them deal with the information that they
Another example of that might be, and I'm just thinking of a lead capture opportunity, right? So with my wife, one of the things we did with her opt-in forms is ask people what their biggest parenting challenge is.
Love it.
Right. So that's a little more direct, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then that gives you the opportunity to speak to them in a really personalized way about those problems, which we know they care about.
It
right?
Totally does.
What do you got, Crystal?
Oh, I'm just laughing at the red card.
Oh, the red card. Is the red card out?
Because I feel like we're not done yet.
The producers.
We're not.
We're not done yet. Keep going.
What red card? What red card?
What red card?
No, I think that's exactly right. And it can go beyond the content in your website. You can have a newsletter for each of the audience types based on a different problem that's only providing relevant stuff for them. Have you guys heard of Think Geek?
Yes.
So they're an online geek products retailer, like flying turtles and office toys and all sorts of crazy stuff. They have 2 Twitter accounts. One is Think Geek, which celebrates geek culture. There's no selling on that at all. They're posting hilarious videos. They're doing this day in geek history. They're showing their employees doing weird geek things, whatever. No selling on it or whatever. The other one is called Think Geek Spam, and it's products, promotions, new items, it's all of that. So what they've done is say, look, you could be here for a couple different reasons. You could never buy anything from us, but you love us because we're geeks and we get you. And so you just follow that one. Or you're a grandma who's like, I am not into this whole geek thing, but my grandson is. Get me to the products, get me to the pricing, what's hot, one of the promotions.
And I think this ties back to what we started out with, which is if you really want your message to resonate, right? You need to enter the conversation going on in people's heads. And I think the example of, if you're too tall for all the dresses, what's interesting is it becomes really simple to speak. Because a lot of business owners, when they're trying to figure, what do I write on my website? What do I write in my follow-up?
So much easier for content. Yeah.
Just narrows it down.
If you think about those problems, right, and those people, you can probably sit down and write a list of 30 questions that each of them might have about what you're doing.
Definitely.
And that can be as simple as, where are you and what hours are you open? But it can also be like, where do you get your produce if you're a restaurant, right? Like, who's behind this company?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your philosophy? Like, there can be all sorts of really interesting things that come out of it. It does clarify pretty dramatically what you need to say. And if your focus, as I believe all of our foci should be, it's being helpful. That's fundamentally what every small business has to do.
Yes.
You got to be helpful.
The best form of marketing. Help your people before they give you money.
You just got to be helpful. But to be helpful, you got to know where they are and what they're struggling with. Yep. What are they struggling with? Why haven't they solved it already? Because there's lots of ice cream sellers out there.
A lot. I agree with that. And I'm so grateful for that. But on that note, I just want to say that I'm starting to feel really selfish about these weekly podcasts because I feel like I'm coming for the sole purpose of learning something new every day. And I'm like, I hope everyone's learning with us because I don't want to feel like it's a selfish thing. But when I'm sitting here, I'm learning something new every week. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Susan, if any agencies out there need help with their research, where can they find you?
AudienceAudit.com.
Awesome. And make sure to check out her new podcast for anyone that's like me and Scott that want to have fun with research. Fun with Research is coming out every Thursday?
Every Friday.
Every Friday.
We have a new episode. You can go to funwithresearch.com and it's got resources for agency marketers and other marketers, just about research and helpful stuff. It's
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I feel like we could have talked for another 2 days about this topic.
That's always my problem.
I know, mine too. But thank you so much, and we'll have to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Thanks,
awesome
Susan.
to see you
Great
again,
to
Scott.
see you again.
So good.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We're going to call that a wrap for this episode of Small Biz Buzz.
Thanks for listening to Small Biz Buzz. Please take a second to subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star rating. It helps keep the show going. And if you need a hand with growing your small business, head over to Keap.com. That's Keap.com and get started. More business, less work. That's Keap.